Hello Booktube, and my name is Elizabeth. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Bookers and Books. This video is a sort of pile of possibilities for Jane Austen July. I'm sure you know what Jane Austen July is, but I'm going to leave information in the description box below. It is a readathon where we are invited to read one of the major works of Jane Austen, and there's a few more prompts. And I love that event. So it is hosted by Katie from Books and Things, Marissa from Blatantly Bookish, and Claudia from Spinster's Library. So of course, links in the description box below. I love Jane Austen July. I love Jane Austen. I'm a Janeite, what can I tell you? So every year I participate in Jane Austen July, and this year will be no exception. So as of filming this, we are already 1 week into July. So that means I had time to start things and even finish things. Because I did not even start in July, I started in June. So first things first, so the main prompt and the only prompt that we have to follow to participate is to read one of Jane Austen's main novels. And I read, and I have said that in the past because this is not a pile of possibility, it is Mansfield Park. I decided to read Mansfield Park in this absolutely, completely, totally gorgeous annotated edition. And I intend to make a video just for the book, just to show you the book, because it's worth it. And for the ones amongst you who have a very there's an expression for it and I cannot find it at the moment because it's been too long since I've filmed videos, who have a very good eye. You can perhaps see with the spine behind me, there are a few more with the same spine. Yes, yes, I decided to buy the entire collection. The only one I do not have is Pride and Prejudice. I think it's out of print, but when I went to the bookstore and I said, oh, I would like to order all of these books, but I think this was out of print, they said, no, it's not written out of print. It just says that the distributor does not have it. It's just going to take a bit more time. But then the distributor did not have any of the books except one, and that is the one with the different spine. It's Persuasion, where there's just an ear on the spine. It's a bit odd. And except for that one, which is older and apparently had been at the distributor for a number of years, the others had to be ordered by the distributor. And my question is, if I've received 4 of the 5 books that were supposed to be ordered, why have I not received the 5th? The 5th being Pride and Prejudice, and I believe it's because it's out of print. But anyway, I still have an order placed with the bookstore. They're supposed to call me at some point, and I guess that if in a few weeks I still haven't heard from them, I'm just going to call again and say, are you sure it's not out of print? Because I will be hunting for a used copy if it is out of print. So anyway, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous edition, and I've read Mansfield Park, and so that's not a pile of possibilities. That's something that was done. And I'm probably going to read another Jane Austen, and I'm probably going to pick Emma, which is the group read this year. So I have it just behind me. I suppose I could go pick it up. There you go, 3 steps. It is a gorgeous book. So if you've never seen the inside, so the text is in the middle and there are notes on the sides, and there are images pretty much, not on every page, that would be an exaggeration, but there are several gorgeous images, and it's not illustrations of the story. It is sort of documentary, not evidence, but it is just documents to illustrate whatever's going on. So a picture of a nice mansion, a picture of perhaps a nobleman with a horse, just to give you an idea of how people dressed and how things looked like. Anyway, I'm going to show you the inside of Mansfield Park when I make a video about it, so you'll see more of these gorgeous editions. So that was the main prompt. And then a second prompt is to read some of Jane Austen's non-major works, so something else by Jane Austen. And for that, I have this. So this is it is Catharine and Other Writings. It is the Oxford World's Classics collection. I don't know how to speak English anymore. I haven't filmed videos in a couple of months, and that means I haven't spoken in English for a couple of months, except for a few sentences here and there at the store. But basically, I live my life in French, so the only place where I speak English for a serious amount of time is with my Booktube videos. So anyway, so this is a collection of Jane Austen's juvenilia. Okay, this video is going to be long. It is a collection of Jane Austen juvenilia. So it is separated in volume, the first volume, the second, and volume, the third. And the longest work in all of that is called Catharine or the Bower, which is in the volume, the third. And that numbering was given by Jane Austen herself. So in volume the first, we find Frederick and Elfrida, Jack and Alice, Edgar and Emma, Henry and Eliza, The Adventures of Mr. Harley, Sir William Montague, Memoirs of Mr. Clifford, The Beautiful Cassandra, Amelia Webster, The Visit, The Mystery, The Three Sisters. That's the same title as Chekhov, but that's before Chekhov. A beautiful description, the generous curate, Ode to Pity. And then in volume the second, Love and Friendship, Leslie Castle, The History of England, a collection of letters, The Female Philosopher, the first act of a comedy, A Letter from a Young Lady, A Tour Through Wales, a Tale. And then finally in volume the third, there's Evelyn and Catherine or the Bower. And then there's also here Plan of a Novel, list of verses and prayers. So it's basically everything that Jane Austen wrote that is not her main 6 novels, and that is not Lady Susan, The Watsons, and Sanditon, which are two novels that are started but unfinished. So I'm not saying that I'm going to read the entirety of the book. So I've just finished the introduction. So I have read the introduction, and I'll start to read from the beginning, and then if I see that it's not interesting enough to read the entire way through, I'll jump to The History of England, which apparently is kind of fun. So anyway, I've never read any of Jane Austen's juvenilia, so it's going to be a first for me this year. Next, I'm going to combine 2 prompts. So one prompt is to read a non-fiction about Jane Austen or Jane Austen times, and another one is to read a contemporary of Jane Austen. And that's going to be a 2-for-1 for me, because I'm going to read Memoir of Jane Austen by James Austen-Leigh. So this is a nephew of Jane Austen who wrote a memoir about his aunt. And it's going to be easy to read because it's printed quite generously with a rather big font and relatively wide margins, and it's barely 200 pages. So it's going to be a relatively easy read, I think. So I'm going to combine the 2 prompts. And I also have other books that are contemporaries of Jane Austen. However, I don't have anything by a British author. So if I would read a contemporary of Jane Austen, I would read probably a French author. Because for the past couple of years, I bought something specifically for that prompt and I have not read it. So I have Châteaubriand, a couple of Châteaubriand books. I have Attala, which is a novel, and I also have the first volume of his memoirs. So Memoirs from Beyond the Grave, I think the title is in English. And in French, I have Madame de Staël, Delphine, which I've started to read but have not finished. It's a huge book. It's right there. Can I point it correctly? I think it's this one or this one. It's one of these 2. And yeah, I've read about 100 pages of it. It's an epistolary novel, and it's a bit slow paced. So I would have to start over because I don't remember much of it. But anyway, so that would be my 2 possibilities for contemporary of Jane Austen if this one is not sufficient. And as for a non-fiction about the time, I have options. Another prompt is to read a retelling of Jane Austen or a novel, a historical novel set in the time of Jane Austen. And for that, I decided to go with the series of Claudia Gray, a series of mysteries. And these ones are not possibilities. I've read them. I've already read them. So this is the Perils of Lady Catherine de Bourgh. It is the 3rd one in the series. So the first one, the first one was The Murder of Mr. Wickham. And it came out 2 or 3 years ago. I think 3 years ago, and I really liked it. I really liked it. It was a lot of fun. And then last year I read book 2 in the series and I liked it quite a bit less. So I wasn't sure if I would continue with the series. And then when I saw all of the Jane Austen July pile of possibilities and TBRs, and quite a few mentioned the Perils of Lady Catherine de Bourgh, and I thought, oh yeah, I want to read that. Even if the second one was not that good as a mystery, there was still quite a bit of an atmosphere, and it had a feel of Jane Austen. So I figured, okay, I'm going to give it a chance. And I really enjoyed this one. And then I decided to read the fourth one because it's about Mansfield Park. So it's the Rushworth family plot. So Mr. Rushworth is the fiance and then husband of Maria Bertram, which is a cousin of Fanny Price. So main characters in Mansfield Park. Well, Mr. Rushworth is a bit of a secondary character, but anyway, it's at the heart of Mansfield Park, and the characters that we see in this book are the characters of Mansfield Park. So I intend to make a video about the series, so I'm not going to tell you my opinion right now. So I'm going to tell you later, but obviously if I read the fourth one right after the third one, you can imagine that I enjoyed the third one. And the fourth one, I liked them. So that's it for the books. Then there are also prompts about watching adaptations. So there's watching a direct adaptation, and then there's watching a how do they call it, a modern adaptation, something like that. I've already done that too. So I went on Netflix and I looked at what they had, and they had Mansfield Park from 1995 or 90, no, 1999, end of the 1990s, I forget what it is, with Frances O'Connor in the role of Fanny Price. And so I listened to that, and I'm going to make a video comparing the movie with the book, because I finished the book and then I watched the movie, so back to back, and I took some notes. Whenever there was something a bit different, I took some notes. And then I also watched Clueless, which is the modern adaptation of Emma, which is a lot of fun. I had not seen it in quite a while. It is enjoyable, it is fun, and I will not make a video about that because I have nothing to say except that it's a fun movie. So that's it for my intentions with Jane Austen July, and as you can see, I've already started. So that's it. So thank you everyone for watching. Let me know which Jane Austen you intend to read and which prompt you intend to fulfill. I did not check if I have missed another prompt. I just went by heart because it's the same prompts every year. So after a number of years, I think I know them by heart, but perhaps I missed one of them, but I think I've got them all. Anyway, so that's my plans for Jane Austen July, and let me know in the comments if you intend to participate. And I will see you in the next video. À la prochaine!